Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim Talamonte.
Southbound Lakeshore Drive, traffic's heavy Foster to the Oak Street curve. It's about 36 minutes from Hollywood to Monroe. Northbound delays are from the Stevenson to Monroe. Northbound Tri-State traffic hits the brakes 75th to 47th and Roosevelt to the Bensonville Bridge. But Adams Tollway tight, Randall to the Elgin Toll. Veterans Memorial northbound 75th to past Maple with a wreck in the right lane. Kennedy inbound delays start at Nagel, 53 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, quicker in the Express. Eisenhower's an hour and 4 minutes, 390 to downtown, 51 minutes from Wolf, out about an hour to 390 as a stalled dump truck in the center lane near 25th Avenue. Stevenson, an hour, 355 to the drive, the ride half an hour from 95th. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, clouds will break for some sunshine this afternoon. A high of 34, currently 27 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
A memoir in his 30s who serves as a mascot for the identity politics. Is this 2020 going to be 2008 Redux? Our friend John Gabriel writing in Ricochet.com about Mannequin Pete. Online surrogates have increasingly pointed out the mayor of Pawnee's flaws, especially his ability to talk for hours without saying a damn thing. Bland pablum is an asset when consulting for McKinsey or fluffing your LinkedIn bio, but it shouldn't inspire voters outside of an HOA pancake breakfast. And these are the kind of answers you get, the earnest nonsense you get from the human refrigerator magnet, Pete Buttigieg.
So the biggest risk we could take at a time like this would be to go up against that fundamentally new challenge by trying to fall back on the familiar or trying to unite this country at a moment when we need that kind of unification, when our nominee is dividing people with a politics that says if you don't go all the way to the edge, it doesn't count. A politics that says it's my way or the highway.
Powerful. He is the author of other such profundities, including the shape of our democracy is the issue that affects every other issue. Yeah, why don't you just go find a place where you can contemplate the importance of that statement and so many others like it. And here's the bottom line, much like being the Manchurian candidate for the radical left was Obama's position in 2008. That's what he is in 2020, except the difference is he's actually taking the same positions as the socialists like Bernie that he's decrying. Right. I mean, spin the wheel and pick a Warren and Bernie Sanders position that Mannequin Pete doesn't have. You can't find one. There is no distinction. There's no daylight between the three.
And he did try to sell himself Friday night for New Hampshireans who vote tomorrow.
We need a perspective right now that will finally allow us to leave the politics of the past in the past, turn the page, and bring change to Washington before it's too late.
That's pretty impressive. That's a 10-second bite in which he strung together 4 fortune cookie bromides. Yeah. Leave the politics of the past in the past.
Yes. Turn the corner.
Turn the corner. Flip the page. See our future in front of us. Be our future. Danny Noonan. I mean, it really is unbelievable. I guess it speaks to the quality of the field that there is momentum and 40 billionaires behind Mannequin Pete. The 40 billionaires piece, something that the Bolshevik pointed out on Friday night. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Christopher Bedford, senior editor at the Federalist, vice chairman of Young Americans for Freedom, board member at the National Journalism Center, and the author of the book, The Art of the Donald. Christopher, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, there is a lot of competition to be the biggest fraud in this field of Democrat socialists. And I think there's real momentum behind Mayor Pete earning that title, too.
I was at one of his rallies yesterday. The crowd size was shocking. It took me about 15 minutes to park. The line wrapped all the way around the school in 25-degree weather. There was even a line for the media. But to your point exactly, when I got in, it was the most choreographed, perfect, nothing left to chance rally that I've seen so far this cycle in New Hampshire. There were practices for the cheers for about 45 minutes before the candidate rolled in, whereas maybe some other campaigns do one. And at the end, he got a stump speech. So the people who waited a few hours got a classic stump speech. You could hear anything. But then he gave them a surprise. They call it the fishbowl game. When someone comes up and the campaign randomly selects, at random, questions from the audience for Pete to answer. He does 3 or 4 of those. They're perfectly placed. They're all ones he can handle.
Like,
and
what makes you so great?
Rally.
That sort of thing? What makes you so great? Why are you so
exactly.
awesome? Yeah.
Boxers
the first
agrees.
question was about retirement, or it was about prescription drug prices. And he started it off with, first, I'd like to thank our friends at the AARP who've been so careful on this issue. All right, Pete. But a lot of people.
Well, have you been to a Bernie Sanders rally? And if so, can you compare the two?
I haven't been to I'm on my way to 2 Bernie Sanders rallies today.
Okay.
But in previous years, when I've been to see him in 2016 in New Hampshire, and when all of our colleagues have been to see him in Iowa, it's a far bigger, far more wild crowd. It is somewhat the equivalent, without the arena size, of a left-wing version of Donald Trump, and the way the crowd gets really going, and the incredible amount of actual excitement that's in the air. I was shocked when I saw him 4 years ago at the levels of roars that came out of the crowd as he crescendoed in his attacks on Hillary Clinton's Iraq war vote. It felt like the gymnasium's walls could come down. And for months, I've been hearing from our folks and other reporters who I speak with on the campaign trails that he has the crowds. I didn't make it to a Joe Biden event yesterday, which was an interesting look at the guy who Democrats have loved for many years, especially during Obama's presidency. It was heartfelt, and there was a lot of very tender moments. There was almost no excitement. It was menacing whispering from the candidate, talking about cancer and murder and spousal murder and drug overdoses and mental illness. And it was almost like the crowd had to remind him that this was a campaign rally. So when he mentioned the Violence Against Women's Act, they tried to applaud, and it kind of jerked him out of it. But as opposed to getting excited, he switched immediately into angry.
It sounds sort of, it sounds sort of like a wake, actually, for Joe Biden.
What do you get angry about?
Not a good scene.
With respect to Bernie, you might consider dyeing your hair purple and getting a septum piercing to sort of fit into that crowd before you head over there. But I want to go one other candidate that hasn't been mentioned, has not been mentioned much, and she's right next door, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, she's dead.
She really had an interesting debate performance. She drew the ire of Megan McArdle, and rightly so. She said in the debate about quality child care, universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old in America, we can stop exploiting the people, largely black and brown women, who do this work and raise the wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher in America. Megan McArdle tweeted, did Elizabeth Warren just tell New Hampshire voters that most child care workers are black or brown? That is not true, and is particularly stupid to erase white child care workers in a largely white state. But McArdle went on to say, this is everything that is wrong with Warren's campaign. It is nominally supposed to be about the middle class, and then it turns out over and over to be about the experiences and obsessions of highly educated urban professional women. To me, that little riff by McArdle nicely sums up why Elizabeth Warren is trending down.
She's trending terribly in this state, and like you said, it's amazing because I grew up in Massachusetts. It's just 30 miles from here. And that's where she's the sitting senator, and yet she can't fill a crowd here. I will admit to you that I always thought it was shocking that anybody showed up at any point during this race to see Elizabeth Warren speaking, because she is not a charismatic person, and she's never been very good at speaking to people one-on-one. She would talk about the way she cracks a beer whenever she's on camera to make it seem like she has beer. Yeah, right, Elizabeth Warren drinks beer. It's... She's and the race stuff, that's been injected over the last 4 years of maybe 8 years of Democratic primaries, all of these candidates are really struggling with the new language of the college left, the stuff that people used to make fun of in that old movie PCU. They're all trying to figure it out, and they all sound hollow and foolish when they do. Liz Warren blaming a culture of oppression for why her campaign staff are quitting because they feel racially targeted by white staffers. But this is your culture. You're in charge of your newsroom. Imagine if I got called into my boss because people were quitting over racial incidents and I blamed a culture of imperialism. I'd be fired.
Well,
That'd be insane.
Yeah. And Friday night, she looked like a deer in the headlights. I mean, I've never seen a worse debate performance in my life from her. It's almost as if she's given up. Don't you think?
Maybe, I think I got it. I got a little bit of that feeling too, as well.
Maybe she should hire Jeremy Piven as a creative consultant from PCU. She can help, get the get the patter down a little bit better. The Bernie thing and Bernie versus Pete. Okay, this seems to be where this is going in New Hampshire. Maybe the whole thing. We'll see. I know Bloomberg's a wild card out there, but Bernie is all like dour and angry and like a less funny version of Larry David. And Pete gives, sort of this patina of optimism. It's just sort of like I'm happy-ish and I'm positive-ish and I'm saying nice things that are all sort of round in their character. And maybe is it just contrasting tone that is driving people to Pete as the alternative to Bernie, do you think?
I think so. And exactly to your point yesterday, while I couldn't make a Bernie rally, I did make it to Michael Moore's podcast on Bernie rallies and a packed room at an Irish bar. And it was very revolutionary, kind of angry, also somber. And that's Bernie's style as well. Pete Buttigieg is exactly the kind of candidate that is traditionally won in Democratic elections. The young, fresh-faced person who says anything that's right, is always kind of scripted. You're not exactly sure what he stands for. He excites you, and people feel like they could paint their dreams and futures onto that person, whether it's Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy, Jimmy Carter. These are the kinds of people that you're maybe not sure what they stand for, but you feel like they are the future and they say the right things. Pete Buttigieg is by far the only regular, old-fashioned, out-of-the-movies campaign rally that I've seen down here, and might be the only person on the trail who has that very traditional, everyone get excited, we're not going to get sad kind of attitude. And that's got to be attractive.
Yeah, we're not going to...
No one gets sad.
Stay positive.
Yeah, you wipe away those tears. You turn that frown upside down. This is Pete Buttigieg rally. It really is so sophomoric. But as you point out in this piece you wrote about him, as we were talking about at the top, this is not a moderate. This is not somebody who's breaking with the sort of hard left orthodoxy of the Democrat Socialist Party.
No, not at all. On issues like abortion, he's to the hard left. He meets the hard left on every single one of the issues that they have requested he meet them on. And he continuously gets this feeling as a moderate because he's got that young, fresh-faced optimism. People just paint what they want him to be onto him. Also, reporters are desperately looking for a replacement for Joe Biden. It was amazing to see reporters just looking back and forth at each other in shock. Liberal reporters, as Biden stumbled again and again at his rally yesterday afternoon. They need someone to replace him so they can beat the big, bad orange man. And they're hoping that it could be Pete Buttigieg. But outside of New York City, Washington, D.C., a couple of white enclaves, I think Pete Buttigieg is going to run into a wall of people who will not be down with his style.
He is Christopher Bedford, senior editor at the Federalist, vice chairman of Young Americans for Freedom, board member at the National Journalism Center, and author of The Art of the Donald. Christopher, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have pain, listen up. Dennis Prager here. You don't need to live in pain. Let me repeat that. You don't have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, whether it's from an accident or pain that just develops. So Chicagoland, you're in luck. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the nation's most respected and successful pain doctors. He's been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Bottom line, he's the pain doctor you need. need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of its side effects. How? By finding the source of your chronic pain and fixing it.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. Let's make you pain-free.
Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's my